Dangerous. Adjective 1. Able to cause serious injury or harm. I am dangerous. I am dangerous, at least according to the neighbor's mother. You see, she didn't like it very much when he came over and saw my brother and I playing tag. He would always join. But that was when I was 6. He once told me that she said she didn't like beaners, and I laughed it off, of course, and told him that, beans aren't that bad. When he turned 8, his mother told him they could no longer live next to us, and I haven't seen him since. I now know she wasn't talking about food when she said that about beans. She was talking about something much more complicated. You see, I didn't know what that meant until I asked my mother after repeatedly hearing it yelled at us by the guys in the pickup truck that would drive by our house saying, "Fucking beaners, go back to where you came from." She explained to me that some people just weren't happy with our kind. She said it was because we were brown. Well, of course I didn't want to be brown by then, and I figured that if I stopped drinking chocolate milk, it would just disappear. I would stare for hours in the mirror of my bathroom trying to figure out what it was that made me the dangerous she talked about. But I was more than that. I was an animal. I was an animal like the ones you see at zoo exhibits, there for visual entertainment, laughed at, pointed at, and ridiculed. Sometimes I'd get things thrown at me too. And just like that, I've lived my life feeling trapped in this cage. As I grew up, I realized that it did not matter how much chocolate milk I drank or how hard I scrubbed myself in the shower. I couldn't wash off the brown. It was permanent. Now I know why there's a reason when we start losing our culture, they call it whitewashing. Minority, noun 1, a smaller number of a whole, less than. I learned something in my 6th grade history class. I learned I was a minority. I was a minority because there were less of us brown people than whites. So I grew up mad at these white kids in school, mad because they seemed so perfect. I was mad that their whole cut up mine into parts. I was mad that I was never able to find a Barbie or a doll that wasn't blonde in the countless rows. I was mad at myself for wanting to be like them and for being ashamed of myself and my family. I grew up so mad that by the age of 12 I was taking a daily dose of Lexapro for depression. All I ever wanted to do was fit into something other than a pair of shoes. But I wasn't alone. My example mirrored that of millions who were just like me. I was just another girl who told her father to take off his sombrero at school functions and who secretly hoped that her mother did not speak at parent-teacher conferences because her accent was embarrassing. In 2008, I became a U.S. citizen. I remember crying as I pledged that I would remain loyal to the United States with my right hand raised and my left one with its fingers crossed. I did not want to be star-spangly when it was the reason I was growing mad. Ordinance number 5165 in Fremont, Nebraska was introduced in June 2010 as a plan to deter illegal immigrants from the city. It prohibited the harboring and hiring of illegal immigrants because the employment of unauthorized aliens in the city displaced authorized United States workers and adversely affected their wages. Not only did this cause a constant state of paranoia for my people, but it escalated the tension as well. So my parents, alongside different families, the ACLU of Nebraska, MALDEF, United Food and Commercial Workers Union, and Local 22 sued the city of Fremont. The battle continued for months, and during these months, the hostility was indescribable. Every look made me feel as though I would turn into a living, breathing piñata. It felt as though I was living in a reoccurring nightmare and I would never wake up. Luckily, we won the court case as the ordinance was deemed unconstitutional. However, the hostility remained. I'm 20 now, yet those memories still haunt me like ghosts in horror films. Those are not the recollections that I want to have of my childhood. I don't want to remember being picked last for teams at recess because I just did not look like the rest. Well, they let me play sometimes, but I was always it. I am still it. I always catch myself searching for someone to run to who won't run away at my approach. Self-harm. Noun 1. The act of hurting oneself in an attempt to relieve stress due to feeling unimportant or unworthy. I became a danger, but to myself. It was in December, 2 years ago, that it began. I remember this because I had to wear pants and the cut on my thighs stung when I walked. Tears rolled down my cheeks each time I dug into the skin with the blade. But I did not cry because it hurt. I cried because I was tired. I was tired of the pain I felt inside. As time progressed, I became addicted because cutting was a short-term escape from the caged life. Not an escape from life in general, but from reality. A transfusion of pain from my heart to my thighs, because I did not have the courage to pull through with a tragedy. Now looking back, I did not want to die. I wanted to be heard. After countless counseling sessions, I've mostly felt as though my words are meaningless, there to produce a paycheck to the one on the other end, the listener, who finds my words unrelatable and sends me off with a, "it will get better," the generic self-improvement tactic. However, I have found comfort in simply talking. I've found comfort in being listened to. I've realized that language is a form of action because we are always speaking. Language is in a sense, my salvation. Without it, I would have never realized that I cannot cure trauma with trauma. Words are my friends, and although they could never physically make me stop cutting, they've helped me realize that I can slowly exorcise the demons that once possessed me. They are the litany in my life, resuscitating the real me. Recovery. Noun 1. The process of healing from a traumatizing event. I remember the last time I harmed. It was written in my journal. The blood-stained razor blade is now taped in it by a note that says, "I'm retiring you today. It was good while it lasted, but I don't need you anymore. In this case, happiness will win. I want to be free." I haven't touched it since. The scars on my body, like broken tombstones, remind me each day of the hurt. But each day that passes where I don't touch the blade makes me realize that I have become stronger. I need to stop pitying myself. Life can be tough. Acceptance is not easy. It is definitely not easy feeling the weight of the world on one's shoulders. But the good news is that I can get better. I've gotten better at accepting myself. I can now drink chocolate milk again. Getting up every day is a struggle, don't get me wrong. Opening the pill bottle to sign off my day to fatigue and headaches is not my favorite thing to do, but with the help of friends and family, I've paved my road to recovery, and I'm not turning back. Angelica. Noun, verb, adjective, 1, 2, 3. She who cannot be bound to a set definition. It is true. I am Mexican. It is in my blood. It is in my roots. It's inscribed on my birth certificate, but I am also much more than what is written on paper. I am more than what is noted on my identification card, black hair and brown eyes. I am a woman. I am an artist, a writer, a sister, a friend. I am a laundry list of ams. I am the muse my brother needs to sing and the inspiration for my sister to draw. I am what pride looks like to my parents because they see how far I've gotten off on my own. I don't need to be a Barbie. I don't need to have blonde hair and blue eyes to feel adequate. I don't owe this world an explanation as to why I feel content with being myself. There's nothing wrong with being brown. Just like chocolate milk, it adds flavor to who I am. I now feel a sense of belonging because my grandfather did not sacrifice his life building pillars and structures in this country for me to not go outside and admire their grandeur. He built brick by brick the foundation on which I stand. I am home. Many events in my life have changed the way I see the world, but the world has not changed who I am. Well, excuse me. I'm sorry for being dangerous, for being born with an accent and a different skin color than yours, making those the reasons why you told your child that was a bad influence. And I'm sorry for not being able to pull out the roots of my origin, for not being able to strangle my ethnicity, pull the ropes on the noose around my name, and tomahawk missile away at the culture that just to see a smile on your privileged face. And I'm sorry for not having a magic wand to transform me into the Goldilocks, blue-eyed Aryan supremacist like yourself. And yes, I am a minority. I am one of the few that is blessed with a parent who still instills familial values of respect and acceptance so that I don't grow up to be narrow-minded like you. Those are the things I would have liked to have said before, but now I'm not mad. However, my battle doesn't end there. Truth is I refuse to be tamed. I will never apologize for being who I am. I will not lie passive, docile, or submissive before the expectations of any community. I will stand before anyone and speak out, continue to be dangerous but to those who try to interfere. My roars will be louder than those who once yelled at me out of windows. My claws will never recede because I am stronger, and I will no longer be intimidated by the chains and shackles that once restrained me. I am done being a spectacle. You will never read all about me, for the reasons you once did before. In short, no net will ever be large enough to hold me back, no box too stiff to not allow me to break through. In no cage stronger than my will to keep me from fighting for who I am, for who I was, and for who I want to be.